Okay guys, welcome back to Online TESOL. This is Module 5 now, and we're taking a look at Lesson 9. Wow, we've already accomplished a lot, right? And we're getting into talking about visual aids. So we only got 2 aims for today's lesson, so these videos are going to be a bit shorter than normal. But anyhow, aim number 1, guys, is that we're going to take a look at a range of visual aids. We're going to discuss them, and also we're going to discuss how we can use them to help us, right? And our second aim for today's lesson is that we're going to go over flashcards, and we're also going to take a quick look at using charts. So we're going to look at some examples, and again we're going to talk about how we can use them, right? So this is one of the more simple lessons that we have, but also even though this is going to be a little bit shorter, it is still really important. But keep in mind, like I mentioned before, I'm not very good at drawing, so you might see some terrible drawings today. Anyhow, get ready. We're going to talk about a variety of different visual aids. Okay guys, so the first thing we really need to do is talk about all the different types of visual aids that we can use in class, right? So let's get started by taking a look at activity 1. Now you guys can see there that the very first visual aim that they mention here, number 1, is they mention you or yourself. Of course, you yourself, you are your most common and most useful visual aid, of course, right? Because you can use yourself to do a number of different things. Of course, you can use yourself for facial features and facial gestures, right? So of course, your own face is a visual aid, right? You can demonstrate a lot of emotions to your class by frowning or smiling or staring or, things like that, right? So we got facial gestures and facial features, but there's a lot of other things you could do. You could demonstrate a lot of action verbs just by using yourself, right? You can demonstrate things like jogging and playing baseball and kicking a soccer ball, all those kind of things, right? Fishing, maybe that makes sense, I hope. Anyhow, so facial gestures, action verbs, and of course just general gestures or body language, right? Gestures and body language. And I'm going to put here etc., etc., because there are so many things that you can use yourself for, right? You are your most important visual aid, right? And you can demonstrate so much stuff just using your own body and especially your own face, right? We do a lot of nonverbal communication in our everyday lives, right? And you can use that to hopefully teach the children something. So keep in mind that the number 1 most important visual aid is you. All right, but let's take a look further, guys, because we've got lots of different kind of visual aids. Number 2 is our good friend, starts with a B. Who is our good friend? Our good friend is the board, the whiteboard or the blackboard, right? Now, we did talk before about like drawing pictures on the blackboard, especially when we took a look at the lesson to do with presenting vocabulary, right? So for the board, you can do lots of drawings of different nouns, different actions, etc., etc. Now, you should keep in mind that sometimes just using yourself might be better than using the board, but then again, sometimes using the board, especially if you're good at drawing, is a very, very effective tool, right? So yeah, the board, very, very good. Don't forget about it, and if you're good at drawing, very, very useful tool, right? Okay guys, getting into the third one we got here. We've got another one. Of course, we have this one here, and I want to use not the English term, but the actual Latin term is realia or realia. And these are real objects. And again, I think we briefly did talk about real objects in the past. You can use real objects to demonstrate a variety of different things. Basic nouns, what things are made of, etc. Remember we talked about, I think briefly, when we were talking about presenting structures, we took a look at that structure. X is made of something, right? Some kind of material. And we have materials like cotton, leather, polyester, etc., etc. you could bring in some clothes that you have that contain that kind of material and show them off, right? Or for any kind of object, basically. So real objects, if you have them, great, right? Use them, why not? Okay guys, so that's our third one. Let's move on to our fourth one. I'm just gonna switch here to a different color. Feel like using red. Seems like a red day. I don't know what that means. Anyhow, so our fourth one here is our other good friend, Mr. Flashcard, or Mrs. Flashcard. Sorry, ladies. All right, so we got flashcards, right? And again, flashcards are kind of like drawings, except flashcards can be used in a little bit more, for a little bit more of like different variety of activities. So flashcards, the one good thing I would say about them is that flashcards are very, 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 very good at yoga. So what do you think I mean? They're good at yoga. If you're good at yoga, you are flexible, right? So that's the main thing about flashcards, is that they're very, very flexible, right? You can show them, you can hide them, mix them up. There are so many things you can show on them. Just like drawings, it's kind of similar things can be presented, right? But at least with flashcards, if you're not good at drawing, then you can find a ton of flashcards online these days, right? If you make your own drawings, I commend you. I think, wow, good for you. You must be good, right? But for somebody like me, not good at drawing, but I still want to use flashcards, right? Just use an online source. Just go to Google and type in free English flashcards. And as long as the image is free, it's okay to borrow it, right? And it's a great, great resource. And we're going to talk more about flashcards later, guys, but keep in mind that they are very, very, very flexible. Okay, the next one we got here, guys, is we got things like charts and tables. Okay, so we can use charts and tables in a variety of different ways, but we are going to be taking a look at them later, so I don't want to say too much right now, but we're going to come back to this one later. And lastly, one that's not included in your book actually, but which is a very, very, very common tool, is things like PPT, PowerPoint, right? And if you don't actually have the PowerPoint software, don't worry. If you have a computer and you have a Gmail address, you can easily access Google's free PPT, right? And that can be used in your class, of course. And I would also include here things like, we're just gonna write slides, and even TV is a kind of visual aid, of course, right? You don't want to use these things too much, especially television, because your class is not supposed to be about watching TV, right? Nobody attends a TV watching class. I guess students would probably really love that. But you know, occasionally it provides some diversity, it's kind of fun, and it can be a great visual aid. Alright guys, so these are our 6 visual aids that we're kind of taking a brief look at today. We're not going to talk too much about yourself, but please keep in mind that you yourself, once again, you are your #1 most important visual aid. But what we're going to take a look at in the next activity is that we're going to take a look at using realia, or real objects, because it can be really essential to demonstrating a number of different things. So get ready, let's take a look at real objects. Okay guys, welcome back. Now we're going to take a look at how to use real objects, and in your book this is actually activity 2. And as you guys can see in activity 2, you've got a number of different objects. Now right now I don't have the same objects right now, but I've got a couple of different objects on the desk here. Doesn't look too glamorous, it's not like super nice, but it's not bad, right? But anyhow, using this stuff here, I can demonstrate to the students a lot of different things. And we have 5 different examples on the side there. So if you guys take a look at the first one, it says here that you can demonstrate prepositions of place. Now, prepositions of place are things like, you know, in, on, beside, between, under, next to, etc., etc., etc. So how could you use real objects to help you demonstrate those things? Easy, all right? So even just with the stuff I have right now, which is not, you know, so great looking, I could help demonstrate this to my class. So we've got my stuff here, and we've got a couple of different objects. We've got our markers, we have my phone for some reason, we have the board eraser, a pink towel, some candy, some custard pie, batteries, and a bottle of water, and I've also got some other things that you guys can't see right now. They're under the desk actually, but not a big deal. Now, we want to demonstrate prepositions of place to our students, so what could you do? Simple, simple. After you presented prepositions of place, you can ask them questions, right? So for example, where is the candy? Guys, where is the candy? Brian, it's